Rejected. Don't know about you, Guy Junker, but it's happened to me quite often in my life. How does Ray Shiro feel about Christopher Letang?
With employers or women, mostly?
Well, let's just leave that silent and unannounced. Chris Letang offered $6.75 million per year over 8 years, and he says it's not enough. Let's come back with another offer, shall we? Not necessarily declaring it dead, but here on Friday of heading into hot stove season in full force in the NHL and the draft this weekend. Very interesting. What do you make of it?
Well, the good thing is it doesn't seem like either sides have gotten mad and slammed the door and said that's ridiculous. They both said that he still doesn't want to play anywhere else. This is where he wants to play. It's like anything else. If you're buying a house, you start someplace, you usually offer low and figure you got to come up some, or you usually ask for a higher price and you figure you come down some. Will they be willing to meet somewhere in the middle? Is he firm on $7.5 million a year? Are the Penguins firm on $7 million a year or less? Could they come to an agreement and say $7.2 million a year with something? I don't know, but I think the encouraging part of it is that both sides still seem open to trying to talk. I think it's just an opening salvo.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're close enough that it would be crazy at this point to draw the line in the sand. I mean,
well, it seems close enough, but actually, what is it? About $700,000 a year over the course of 8 years. That's that's a lot of money. That's $5-6 million. What is it? That's
it's easy for me to say it's close. Well, Ray Shiro, he's often in the past, and Rob Rossi, who broke the story for the Trib, and excellent read at triblive.com, he uses the term wiggle room. Right. It sounds like there is some room for movement, but Shiro in the past has given some firm offers, take it or leave it. Jordan Stahl certainly was one last year where it was a different scenario. He didn't want to sign here. He kind of made that clear. But other guys, when they get into their 30s, Jarkko Ruutu, we're going to offer you this. We can't. Max Talbot, we can't offer you that third-year difference deal. They've never been in this situation with a young, ascending in his prime player, late 20s, who might be one of the best at his position in the league.
Or if they have, it was the first deal of its kind. Not a guy like this where you already have a Malkin and Crosby signed, or even a Marc-Andre Fleury signed long-term. So I don't. If let's just say if either Malkin or Crosby isn't on this team, they might give him the 7.5 and just say signed, sealed, delivered. This guy's too good. Give him what he deserves. And I mean, is this just maybe the fiscal reality of doing business now with the reduced salary cap? I don't, and maybe they can. I know you can't backload a contract as much as you could before, but they could backload it some, even if it averages out to 7.3 a year. Maybe these first couple years you could still keep it low enough until the salary cap starts to go back up a little bit, because you've got to figure. I mean, I think the NHL is pretty healthy right now overall as a league, Ken. I mean, we talked about some of the television ratings and stuff. I figure revenues will continue to go up, and I think the cap will, might take by the end of his contract, it'll be higher than it was even last year.
You can hope that, as long as the markets don't crash and the nation's economy doesn't go in the tank and then nobody's buying tickets anymore. I'm sure Shiro's got to be thinking the same thing, but also you've got $40 million of 64 in a couple years tied up with just 6 or 7 players. That gets to be a little frightening. Can you build a team around 3 players making this much money? And from Letang's point of view, I wonder if Crosby and Malkin, Guy, they took a little bit of a hometown discount to stay. I mean, not like extreme. Sid certainly could have made more, and Gino stepped in line. Letang would make less than these guys, but
pretty close.
Pretty close, but he's not their position. Are they upset that Letang, he says he wants to stay, but he's still playing hardball with the finances?
What guys really think, I was going to say, what they really think deep down inside, we may never know, but we do know in today's. I mean, these guys do not seem like they're that hell-bent on making the most on the team or making the most in the league. They seem more interested outwardly and by their actions with their last 2 contracts of keeping this team together. So I don't think it would be a problem. Would Sid and Malkin rather have Letang on this team making close to what they make, or would they rather lose him so they keep their elite status? They'd rather have Letang on this team, I think.
Well, the fact that the numbers came out. Rob Rossi is a terrific reporter for us, and maybe he just had a great scoop here. But the fact that the dollar figures came out like they did in the Stahl situation last year makes me wonder if that's not a little intentional leak on the Penguins' part, and this is the first sign that he's going to be traded this weekend.
It very well could be. I mean, I would not at all be surprised if he's traded this weekend. I'm glad that both sides seem to think there is some wiggle room. I've said from the very beginning when you started talking about this, an hour after they were eliminated, I think it'll be very difficult to sign him. We've got some national guys on this week. I think it's a 50-50 deal. I think it's much less than that. I'll be more surprised if he stays than if he goes. I think it's at best 60-40 he leaves.
If he goes, that's a lot of good players that have left what we think of as the hockey mecca here with Crosby and Malkin, and they hosted and won a stay. Obviously, Suter and Parise last year. Yager entertained coming here, didn't come here. Talbot left. Ryan Malone left. Jordan Stahl left. It's pretty amazing that a lot of good play. You can't afford everybody when Crosby and Malkin are your stars, but they've not kept everybody they wanted to keep.
I think you got to look at each one of those. And a lot of people have stayed here, and a lot of people have stayed here for less money than they could have made elsewhere. So, especially when you look at Parise and you look at Suter and you look at some of the reasons why they were going, they were, I think, more personal than they were financial. And the same with Jordan Stahl. Jordan Stahl had I think a lot of guys, if they played the same position as Malkin and Crosby, would consider going someplace else. It's like working behind me and you here. There's no chance of advancement.
No chance. Total
not
rejection.
Even a chuckle out of Mike. He's not even listening to us. Look.
All right, we'll follow it over the weekend. Hot Stove turns into the NHL draft, and then, of course, free agency in a week. We're coming to a head on this situation, the Letang situation. Guy Junker, Ken Laird, TribLive.com.